Hey everyone. Whew, we made it to the end of Women's History Month. I am so excited today. This Wednesday Wisdom edition of Trap Chat Live is going to be my favorite because uh, of who I have on the show with me. It's Solita Roberts, an image stylist, speaker, high functioning introvert, and LinkedIn top voice. We may get into some LinkedIn. Y'all know how I feel about LinkedIn. LinkedIn top voice, and hopefully by the end of this, destroyer of Kirsten's business mullet. She has been featured in on the CW network. Again, like I said, she's a LinkedIn top voice, and folks are can reach her. She's currently in Atlanta, but she is from the beautiful island of Barbados. Uh, Please, Salida, introduce yourself to everyone so we can jump right in and get to business.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I feel honored to close out Women's History Month
Yes.
with your community. So thanks for having me. And yes, I will take that. I'm a high functioning introvert. Hence
Yeah.
the reason why I use personal style as a
Oh,
tool because it does allow me. I talked about this a little bit on my LinkedIn Live earlier, where if I go to a networking event or I'm going into a setting where I need to speak to people, I need to connect with people. I'm not that person who's going to walk into a room and say, "Hey, everyone, I'm Salida, what's up?" I'm not
yeah.
that person. And so I've used the way I dress and the way I show up as my silent introduction. When I
Oh.
walk into a room, whether or not that's it virtual or in person,
Mm-hmm.
someone is going to approach me or message me and say, "Oh, I love your nail color. I love that outfit that you're wearing." That allows me then to lean in and have that conversation.
Okay.
So some of that nerves or anxiety that I may feel, that person has really broken the barrier and allowed me to enter that space and talk. So personal styling is not just about, for me, it's not just about the aesthetics, how we put together outfits and how we show up,
Mm-hmm.
but more how do you want to feel? How do you want to represent yourself? And how does that allow you to create the impact that you need in your career and business? And
Yeah.
so I founded Style to Impact because I know how important it is for me to show up in as my best self, how important it is for me to feel comfortable. And
Yeah.
I also know, coming from the Caribbean, that my experience as a Black woman, my experience in terms of the spaces that I've been in, it's different from a Black woman in the US.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm trying to do is to use my experience, which is I've seldom felt that I need to conform to any
Mm.
idea as to how I should show up, and
Okay.
really use that knowledge to meet a Black woman in corporate or in whatever space she's in and give her the power to say, "I'm taking back control of my narrative and how I want to show up." And so I enjoyed the work that I do, and it's taken me into different spaces and different opportunities I've been able to um, accomplish. And I'm very proud of that. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. So you answered my first question on what prompted you to start Style to Impact. And I did forget to say that she is the founder of Style to Impact. You can follow her. It's scrolling down at the bottom or go to www.styletoimpact.com. But some of the things that I like that I've really admired, like the way that you talk about things, the words that you use. And I see them in my coaching business with, talking to career coach, helping people with their careers and building confidence. But one of your taglines is styling for confidence, representation, and impact. And can you just talk a little bit about that and why it's so important for those three elements to be present?
It's everything. We can feel as confident in our abilities, like
Mm-hmm.
the thing that we do every day to make money, whether or not that's speaking, an accountant, a lawyer. We're confident in that. I've worked with women who are confident now, but they're not confident in the way they're showing up, right? We were told, if you think about it, as women, we weren't exactly taught how to dress. No one said to us, make sure for your body type when you were growing up, wear this dress, this skirt, this pants, this. We were told what to wear. As a kid, your parents told you what to wear. If
Yeah.
you went to college or schools that had uniform like I did, you were told what that uniform looked like. When you entered the workplace, you were told what to wear. This is the corporate uniform. This is how you should present
Hmm.
yourself. This is what you should wear. And most of the time, what happens is that we adopt an image that doesn't reflect who we are. It's a
Ooh.
perception of how people think that we should show up and how we should um, look in different settings. And as a result, even though you're confident in your abilities, when you step into certain rooms and certain spaces, you're not reflecting that confidence on the outside, right?
Yeah.
You're wearing clothing, whether or not that's to hide, to shrink. You're dulling yourself down because you don't want to take up too much room and too much space because you're told,
Yes.
don't do that. Just kind of, play it safe, go along to get along, don't ruffle any feathers, put your head down, get the work done. But what I am pushing women to do is to take ownership of the way we're showing up. If we think about how we're being perceived, is how we're being perceived an accurate perception of who we are? No, because the way you perceived me doesn't necessarily be mean that's who I am. It's just your definition and narrative of who I am. So when it comes to that representation part of it, is who are you as an individual? What do you like? What are your cultural beliefs, background, identity? What makes you who you are? And
Yeah.
how can you represent more of who you are in terms of how you show up? For instance, in the US, it's a big thing when it comes to wearing your natural hair for Black women, right?
Hmm.
It's a big thing to the fact that there needs to be a law. As a Caribbean woman, I am still trying to wrap my head around that idea
Yeah.
that someone is looking at you and saying, no, this thing that we all have that we call hair from your head is
Yes.
not acceptable and it's not professional in certain states, right?
Yes.
And for me, I'm like, no, when I speak of representation, that's what I'm talking about is first of all, establish the environment that you're in. Is it a safe environment that you can be yourself? Would you be at physical harm?
Hmm.
If you're not in physical danger, then wearing your natural hair is you saying, this is me, not conforming to this idea of what you think I am.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do, I'm not saying every Black woman should go out and start wearing her natural hair. If that's what you want to do and you've been suppressing that part of yourself because of that narrative, then you need to then take control of that, change that narrative, because when you show up, and this is where I'm building on that representation, when you show up, representation for me, it's not just as a Black woman, a woman of color, being in the room, having a seat at the table, but are you showing up as your full authentic self?
Yes.
Are you hiding parts of who you are to show up to be acceptable in that room, to be liked in that room? Or are you changing the perception and the narrative? Because when you show up as your authentic self, you're then creating spaces, and we're talking about Women's History Month, because
Hmm.
when you show up authentically, you're creating space for other women to do the same. I shared a post on LinkedIn where I talked about 3 powerful reasons why your personal style is important. And one of
Okay.
those reasons is when you show up authentically, it then creates an environment and a culture for other women to do that, whatever that looks like for them. And there was a comment under that post. I agree. The person said, I agree, because I've seen as an introvert, as someone who's shy and quiet, the women around me, seeing how they're showing up, not just in their actions and what they did, but how they presented themselves, influenced the way she showed up, the way she was dressing, she decided to
Ooh.
dress. So it's not just about you taking control, but changing the narrative. If each of us can do that, what are parts of ourselves that we're putting in a box that we need to let out? What are those
Well,
parts?
I know the hair thing is big for me. And I actually have written blog posts and talked about this before. I haven't had a chemical, like my hair is not chemically straightened. It hasn't been for almost for over a decade, like well over a decade.
Mhm.
And even when I did, it was rare, a few times a year. But I had a it was always, and I'm not combating what you're saying. I guess I wasn't in safe environments, or I was in environments where other black women, other black people had been through things where they weren't safe
Yeah.
and they wanted to keep me safe, because it was black women who would say, don't wear your hair in a ponytail, you look like a kid. It was black men and black women who would say, when you don't straighten your hair, you don't blow dry your hair, like I don't like they don't recognize me, or you look like a kid, like, and no one's going to take you seriously when you're
Yeah.
standing up in front of me with your hair pulled back, or you're standing up in front of me and your hair is curly and big. So there was I had that, I internalized that, and I took that upon me, to the point that, like, the times that I have stepped out, and I spent an entire year like not straightening my hair at
Yeah.
all, and again, but when it came time to get up on a stage, I will pull it back. Like, I'm pulling it back in a tight bun, because I still wasn't, like you said, confident enough to just show up like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
And in terms of dress, in my idea, my mother worked in finance, so she wore suits to work. So I thought, I worked in an office, I wear suits to
Yeah.
work. And again, and I was and my I started in recruiting, and that's a sales oriented environment, or what I started in, third party, back, when we were just getting monster.com, when we were when we were doing lunches, and like I said, we were really acting like salespeople, and we had dress codes. Like, the women had to have on heels and stockings, and you had to be buttoned up the same way that the men had to have on,
Yeah.
shirts, be ironed and all that. So when I took that into corporate recruiting, a lot of people were like, why are you always dressed up? Like, why do you look like that? And it's just who I was. Like, today, like, I've toned some of that down, but it took a lot for me to start showing up on camera in graphic t-shirts. Like, never, never. It took a lot for me to do that, in what is considered a professional place. So I appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing that. And like I said, now that I've been holding this grudge, against it. But now that you said that about having the safe spaces, I'm like, you know what? They probably weren't in a safe space,
And
and they wanted me to be safe. Yeah.
that is when we look at the history
Hmm.
of black people, when we look at the history, it was, I mean, I did a visit to the Civil Rights Museum here in Atlanta, and I was
Okay.
walking through trying to center myself, stay calm, and just, but there was a poster where they talked about why protesters and women, this Sunday best was
Hmm.
part of that, because the idea was, put on your Sunday best, put on your stockings, put on your, comb your hair, be neat and tidy, because the perception was, as a protester, you're seen as aggressive, you're seen as someone who's going to
Mm.
create destruction. But in that time, when you dress that way, it was the way they put it over, was it wasn't for us, but it was for the people that's looking at us
Yeah.
on television while we're marching, that we're trying to tell them we're not um you know threatening, we're not going to do anything like that. So that's the mindset that every generation is there. Every generation we're told, you know, put on that corporate suit, that black
Yeah.
and white uniform, walk into the space, put your head down, get the work done, don't ruffle any feathers. No, don't wear your, just like you were told, don't wear your natural hair because you're not going to be taken serious, because those are all the things that they went through. My hope is that we can break some of that cycle right?
Yeah.
And create a new reality as it is right now, because your days of wearing pantyhose was
Oh,
not,
never. No
you were
more.
exactly, but you weren't, that was not in your control. Someone
Right.
decided to look professional, you had to dress this way, you had to
Yes.
wear that. And when you consider the fact that the pantyhose didn't even match our skin color, but we're walking around with some blue, green, gray things that look nothing like us. When I look back at images like that, I'm like, this
Mm,
did not look professional, because they weren't considering our skin tone and the way we're showing up on the way we look, because it looked great on Suzanne, but it
mm,
doesn't look great on us because you don't have the right color to even match our skin.
yeah.
So it's flawless. It's not. And so that's still the reality. I understand that, and I'm very much so aware of the fact that my privileges that I grew up with in the Caribbean is totally different from the experiences of a black woman in the US. And so respecting and understanding that, but at the same time working with my clients to say, yes, we need to break some of that cycle. I'm not expecting you to shed everything that you were told as a way to survive, as a way to succeed, and just show up as this completely different person. But there are small things that you can do step by step.
Okay.
First step, if you are wearing the uniform of the black and white, that black and white skirt, the black skirt suit with the white button down, that
Hmm.
does not feel like you. It does not represent who you are. There's nothing about that that tells me who you are as an individual. And we're saying, okay, I still want to have that formal look, right? Because this is my personality. It somewhat now became part of my personality that I
Hmm.
want to have that formal look. But how can I bring a little bit of myself into this new look? We can do a couple of things. Switch out that black for a navy blue, and contrast is, instead of wearing a white shirt, you can wear, let's say you love floral shirts, you can wear a floral shirt with it. It doesn't make you less professional, it
Yeah.
makes you who you are. And that's what
Mm,
I want people to understand, is how can you show up as more of yourself. Because if you think about it, the time, the energy that you spend shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you are, it's time that you can be spending deciding what your next move is. If the space that you're in, if you're elevating, if all the things that you're doing right is getting you what you want. If it's not, then you are in a more positive and confident space of saying, okay, this is not working for me, I'm going to take my expertise somewhere else.
okay. One of the things you talk about dismantling is appearance bias. So first, I want you to just briefly define what that is, and then second, is that something that's internal? Like, do we have our own appearance biases that we are projecting onto people, or is it truly that someone is going to look at you a certain way and judge you on those things?
I love that. Thank you very much for that question. I really do appreciate that. Appearance bias in its simplest format, it's when we judge people based on their body size, based on skin color, based on the way we wear our hair. So you're looking at the physical person and you're passing negative judgment on that person
Okay.
because you perceived the way that person is showing up as unprofessional, as not the right image, based on your idea of what the beauty standard is, what professional is. And so, yes, appearance bias is something that, for the person that's judging, it's an internal thing, because
Okay.
my internal belief, using myself as an example, let's say my internal belief is that I am never, ever, ever, ever going to wear pantyhose. That is my internal belief. It's
Okay.
never going to happen. And so I take that and project it onto someone who's wearing pantyhose. And I'll be like,
Mm,
oh my gosh, you just look. And I use all the words to explain and describe how that person looked to reinforce my belief. When we think about me now going into a company where I am making policies and decisions, I'm going
okay.
to use that bias to determine what the dress code looks like, and not keeping in mind that as an individual, that may be something that you want to embrace, that may be something that you want to wear, right? But it doesn't take away from your expertise, it doesn't take away from you doing the job. It's just something that you prefer. And so vice versa now. As an individual, you shared a little bit about that, your own bias when it came to how you were projecting yourself. It's like, you know what? I was given all these tools by the women who meant well in
Meant
my
no
life,
harm. Yeah.
exactly as to how to show up. And so you internalize your own biases. It's like, you may look at somebody, I don't wear my natural hair, so you should not wear your natural hair, right?
Oh no,
Because
I love it. Like I love.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like you was where the bias come in. We do have the internal biases that we have to deal with because of
Yes.
how we perceive things, how we were told to perceive a person based on their appearance, right? So you embrace your natural hair. If someone is struggling with doing that, you may, get on your soapbox and like, how dare you not? And you do that. And then vice versa. Someone who doesn't embrace their natural hair, is not what they want to do, may then project that on someone
Yeah.
else, saying, and that's where one of the reasons why you have to pass laws like the Crown Act to say, because somebody decided their personal belief
Mhm.
based on stereotypes and assumptions that Black people wearing their natural hair is not perceived as professional. They cannot do the job. They will not, they don't match the image of your company and wouldn't fit into the culture. Someone whose biases, that's their bias. They brought it into the whole conversation of professionalism, the whole conversation of dress codes. And that's why I think we have to, as I say, dismantle it. Like
Yeah.
what worked yesterday worked because it came out of what? A lot of, we talking about racism, we talking about it came out of that. If
Yeah.
we're thinking about changing, creating environments where it's inclusive, where people feel a sense of belonging, all of that needs to be dismantled. So if you're a policy, I saw on LinkedIn today, this young lady posted a note that her son received from school. The irony of it was the note posted said, "Be bold,"
Uh-huh.
but the note that the teacher wrote to send him home, uh, basically to give his parents, is that his hairstyle basically was not acceptable. That boys should wear their hair not touching their shoulder. I'm paraphrasing
Yeah.
the note. But he got a note like that. Where's that coming from? Someone within the school system created a policy that says boys, and specifically who are they targeting? Because I've seen other races, boys with long hair.
Hmm.
Is the same rules being applied? And that's why I think we have to dismantle it. Like just break it down and look at the way people show up as individuals, identity, culture, comfort, and create policies that includes everyone. It's not going to be chaos where everybody coming doing their
Right.
own thing. You can decide that, okay, we have a formal dress code. And as an individual, you get to decide what that looks like. So we're all not going to be wearing a navy blue suit with a white button down.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. And I am one, especially in office type settings. I don't believe that there should be dress codes. Like, we're not stupid, you know. Like, we know not to, like, we
Wear
know
wear a
what
bikini
to
in the
wear.
boardroom. That's what I
Like,
say.
don't do that. And most of those things are directed at women. Like, they'll
Like,
have a million things, and then for guys, it's like, what is, it's a list of what is acceptable. Like, wear
yeah,
your, wear khakis, wear this, don't wear thong sandals. Okay.
yeah,
Congratulations. But I mean, I get it for when you're in a certain professions, like, people want you to look uniform.
yeah.
And I get it. But even sometimes you can do things with, like, change your hair, if you're allowed, or if it's permissible, wear a different color shoe, than the black, and than the black bottom, or the dark bottom, and the light top. So there's things you can do. Um, Oh man, this is so good. All right, I got two important things that I need to get to, and I'm trying to decide which one I'm going to do, because I know we're short on time and that you have a hard stop. All right, so we're still in a hybrid world, some of us,
Yeah.
and we've got virtual things that we do. A lot of people have returned to an office. People are going back to conferences. People are speaking in person again. Should we have certain different looks, or different? Should we be projecting different images based on the setting, based on the event?
No, I'm going to say a hard
Ooh,
I'm going to say
I
a hard
love that.
no
Okay.
as someone who I want to reduce the amount of decisions I'm making every single day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not going to create a wardrobe for my virtual life and a wardrobe for my
Ooh,
in-person life. I am one
I love
person.
that.
When I appear on screen, I'm the same person that's going to appear in person.
Okay.
The difference is on Zoom in the virtual world, you can decide what you wear on the bottom.
Yes.
In person, you have to put on a full outfit,
Yeah.
but it doesn't change what your personal style is. For instance, I have worn tops that I've done virtual workshops, lives like this on, and I've worn
Mhm.
it in person because it's my personal style. It
Okay.
moves with me,
Oh, I
right?
like
It
that.
moves with me. So that's what you have to think about. Like, how do you want to show up? Do you want to have, and I talked about this earlier on my LinkedIn life, like what are three words that you want to use to describe your style and how you want to feel in your style? One of my words is powerful. In a virtual setting, how do I project that power? Comes down to what I wear. So I in virtual, I want to be powerful, but I still want to have a little bit more creative fun with it, because most times you might be talking to yourself, or if you're doing a workshop or a webinar or training, you want to draw your audience in, right? Because it virtually is a little bit more difficult to
It
get
is.
people's attention. So I do a little bit different, like my earrings may be different, I'm wearing a cold shoulder, but it's still me.
Mm.
In an in-person setting, I can do the same thing, like this exact look. I can, and trust me, I've done it before, recreate the look to go in person. So you don't need to separate. If that's something, if you want to just like, I have fun with it and you don't mind creating two wardrobes, God bless you. But for me, I need my personal style to reflect me, and I take it with me, whatever room or setting I'm in.
All right. So we got one comment. Excellent topic, but I think we have to remember that how to dress in varied settings is taught. True.
Yeah.
I'm a college professor and very often have to talk to my students about professional attire. Sadly, some parents, adults are not teaching this at home. 100% agree. Thanks, Makisa. Or excuse me, Dr. Johnson. We're going to call you by your name. So, last question, and then we're going to move to the lightning round. All right. So, what are, because you just gave three things, so I'm going to ask you, what are three staples, or are there any staples that need to be in your wardrobe?
Okay. So I I like to say this, I don't go according to the rules of style. Like, I
Okay.
don't. So you won't find anywhere on my social, especially currently, where I'm saying these are the 10 things to put in your wardrobe.
Okay.
Why I don't do that? Because each one of us, we're individuals, we're different, we like different things.
Yes.
If I'm supposed to tell you the 10 must have things to add to your wardrobe is a white button down shirt, a blue jeans, a blazer, what if you don't like those things?
Yeah.
Right? So I think when I'm thinking about defining what are the must have that my client should add to their wardrobe, it comes down to who are you as an individual? What is your lifestyle? How do you want to show up? Right? Because my lifestyle may be one where I'm on Zoom a lot. So that means I'm going to do a lot of bright colors, a lot of solid colors. So that's how I decide what my 10 are.
Okay.
And that's how you define what your 10 are. What I will say as the foundation must have for women, make sure that you have good undergarment. That's a must. That's a must. It doesn't matter what your person, that is not linked to your personal style.
Yes.
Get your bra size
Yes.
done because
Yes.
we're not, most of us are not wearing the right bra size. Underwear. I have a major pet peeve with seeing panty lines.
Lines. Okay.
God bless that person who created seamless underwear. Get yourself some. The beauty about it now, it doesn't have, before you have like, it used to be seamless and just thongs. Like, no, you want boy shorts, you want bikini cut, whatever it is, but invest in getting those. And that's what I would say, the undergarment, that's your foundation.
Mm-hmm.
What you put on the outside of that, that's your personal style, that's your
Wow.
self-expression.
Okay.
So we're two of us may say we want to have a creative style, but we
Mhm.
define that differently.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't do the 10 must have things, but the foundation, what you wear on there,
Okay.
that's
That's
key.
that's your only rule.
Yes.
Have the right undergarment. I love that. And I love these questions for when you are deciding what you're going to put on. Who are you as an individual? What is your lifestyle? And how do you want to show up?
Absolutely.
Woo! All right, well, we went 2 minutes over, but that's okay. Because this was so good. We could have kept going, but we know time does not permit, unfortunately. All right, so let's get to the fun stuff
Yeah.
or the more fun stuff. Uh, what is the best career advice you didn't take or that you took later in life?
So when I started in banking as a teller.
Oh,
Yes, I spent 15 years in banking.
wow.
And the advice that I wish that I really took is when a colleague of mine she used to work with us like during the day,
Hmm.
that shift, and in the night she had like a second job. And I was like, why would I want to do that? Why would I want to, have a second job? But what she said, she's like, what she's doing is allowing her finances to determine what her next role is going to be.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Most of the time, we're looking at let's get that job so that we can get the finances. But for her, what she found is that because she was creating a nest, having that savings, that nest egg, it was going to allow her to decide, what is my next career move? Do I want to take a year off? Do I want to go to school? Do I want to? Because she had enough money saved
Hmm.
that she had the freedom to decide what is it she wanted to do. And that's something that I wish that I did, because I didn't take that advice. I found myself always trying to find that job to meet my
Mm,
expenses and the things that I wanted to do. And as a result, it limits what you do.
yeah.
Whereas, yeah,
All right. So, what fictional character, TV, book, movie gives you a glimpse of yourself?
Olivia Pope.
I need to know, do you have a white overcoat?
Listen, no, I do not have a white
Okay.
overcoat, but there was this company called The Limited. They
Mhm.
used to have like amazing work clothing,
Yes.
different styles and cut, and they did a limited edition
Yes, I
Olivia
remember
Pope
that.
candle.
Yeah.
And I went and I purchased as many pieces that I was able to afford. Up to this day, I have she used to wear like a black top, like similar to the white coat, but
Yeah.
it was short. So I have that. I have the white pants
Mm,
and I have the dress, like
okay. I love that.
because that power, that look, that yeah, Olivia Pope, without a question.
Okay. Now, when you're getting ready to really put on, like you're about to show up and show out, what song or genre of music is your go-to?
So when Nicki Minaj came out with Pink Friday, that album,
Oh,
that was my on repeat. I would put that in. I'm driving to work and I would put that in. And I find myself even to this day, like that's one of my favorite albums. Like I think I remember I'm horrible with words and songs,
okay.
but the one that she talked about, Dungeon Dragon,
Yes.
that one is like my that one is like my favorite. Whenever that comes up, I'm like, yeah, pumped and ready.
I think that's the one that Kanye produced, actually.
Oh, I
Or
have
I'm sorry, I don't. I think that's his dead name. Yay. My apologies.
yeah, I'm I like songs, but I'm not deep into the culture of it.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So I can't tell you how excited and how much fun I had today. But I do want to give you an opportunity to leave folks with one last thing, perhaps that I missed or that I didn't get to ask you or that you just want to reinforce if you already said it.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you very much for having me. This was a great conversation. I appreciate
Yeah.
the questions as well because I get
Thank
to
you.
talk about the things that really matters to me, especially when it comes to style and how I want women to embrace more of who they are and show up.
Yeah.
And for most women, it's like, what does that look like? And so I have what I call a style starter experience. That's where
Oh.
you get to learn the foundations of style, learning, understanding, first of all, what is your personal style, defining clearly what that is, what it looks like. How do you dress your body type based on the body that you're in right now, not the one you had yesterday or the one that you wish you have tomorrow, but what does it look like for you to dress the body that you're in, and how do you want to show up, what is the message, what does that look like? And basically at the end of that session, what you get from me is a digital style planner, which everything that
Mm.
we talk about, from what your personal style is, what it looks like, what are some of the pieces that you need to add. So I'll give you recommended pieces at that point, because now I've learned who you are. We
Mhm.
have an idea as to what your personal style is and how you want it to reflect. So I'll give you guidance on what to add to your closet, how to create outfits that really project that level of
Yeah.
confidence, care, and influence that you're looking for, and align it with the environment that you're in. Because I do understand that we don't just create a personal style as a form of self expression, but being able to intertwine our lifestyle, our goals, and
Yeah.
everything that we have to show up as confident and authentic as we want to be. To, of course, if that's something that you're interested in, persons that are listening, is like, yes, I need to understand where my style, I call it as well as jump starting your style. It's a jump
Okay.
start to get you there. Style2impact.com is
Yeah.
how you can get in contact with me. That's where you'll find that service as well. If you have a couple of questions that, okay, I have a couple of questions as to what that entails, you can email me at solita@style2impact.com. For those who are watching on LinkedIn, you can DM me as well, and I'll share more details with you or answer any questions that you have.
All right. And you mentioned the live show that you did before this. Is that a weekly or bi-weekly
Yes,
thing?
I do. My LinkedIn lives are every Wednesday at
Okay.
noon, and I have, go through different topics. I try to um, infuse both personal style and show you as well as the impact and some of the stereotypes and biases that we have, persons may have around how we present ourselves. So, like for instance, today's conversation was using style to say something. We talk
Okay.
about that first impression. We talk about letting your style act as that silent introduction to you and speak on your behalf. So, yeah, every Wednesdays at noon.
All right. And let me put that up there too. So make sure that you first and foremost go check out the Style Starter Experience on style2impact.com. Then once you have that and you're signed up and you're ready to go there next Wednesday. LinkedIn Live. Go to her LinkedIn page to access that. Salita Roberts, 12 noon Eastern. Then grab something to eat. And come back for Trap Chat Live at 2 o'clock. But I will say this, I'm not having Trap Chat Live next week. I'm doing a webinar in place of Trap Chat Live, but we will, and I do want you guys to sign up for that too. So go to my LinkedIn and check that out, get registered. It is free. And then we'll be back on the 12th of April and possibly with some more exciting news leading up to the 12th. But Salita, thank you so much again. It has been a wonderful pleasure. I have so many action items that I need to take care of for myself. You have put me in my place. You have deconstructed me. And for anyone who is who is who is interested, I told her before we came on that I am 65-35 today, business to mullet for anyone who is interested. And that is all I'm going to say about that. So, thank you again. Make sure you do go to Salita's website. Make sure you do go to her LinkedIn Live next week and enjoy these last 2 days of March. We will see you in April. Have a good one,
Yeah.
everyone.
Bye.